Ly Tu Diem. Hello everyone. A mother's love often believes it knows what is best. But what if that love becomes a weapon that wounds the very heart her son treasures most? CEO Toan's mother stands firm, convinced she is right, yet in her determination, Tu Diem is left to bear the pain of rejection and judgment. Is it truly love if it breaks an innocent soul? Is it truly right if it destroys the chance for happiness? Between tradition and compassion, between pride and forgiveness, Tu Diem's tears ask a question that silence cannot answer. Can hurting her ever be justified? The evening sun cast long shadows across the quiet farmhouse when Tu Diem heard the sound of a car approaching. Her heart tensed. She knew that presence even before the door opened. Madame Lan, Toan's mother. Lan entered with a dignified calm, her gaze sweeping across the modest home with silent disapproval. To her, every detail confirmed what she already believed. This place, and the young woman living here, were unworthy of her son. Diem, she began, her voice steady but cold, you must understand that I came here for one reason. My son is a man of position, of future. He cannot bind his life to someone like you poor alone, with no family to support you. Love cannot erase such truth. The words fell like stones. Tu Diem felt her chest tighten, yet she stood still, her hands trembling. For a long moment, she said nothing, her silence heavy with unspoken pain. Finally, her voice rose fragile but clear. Madam, I never asked for wealth. I never wanted anything but to love Toan with all that I am. If you see me as nothing, then perhaps my love is too small in your eyes. But in my heart, it is the only treasure I have. For a brief second, something flickered in Lan's eyes, doubt, perhaps even pity, but pride quickly masked it. She turned, her words final. One day you will understand, girl, a mother only protects her son. If I must hurt you to save him, then so be it. When she left, silence filled the farmhouse. Tu Diem sank into a chair, her tears falling. Not just from sorrow but from the deep wound of being judged for things she could never change. Yet within her pain, a seed of strength began to stir. Later that night, Toan's sister arrived. Seeing Diem's swollen eyes, she listened as every word of the confrontation spilled out. Tu took her hand gently. Diem, don't let mother's pride destroy you. I know you love my brother, and I believe in your heart. Time will reveal the truth. Tu Diem nodded, still shaken, but a new resolve forming. She realized that Madame Lan believed she was protecting her son, but in doing so, she had wounded an innocent heart, and that wound, instead of breaking Diem, awakened her. For love, she would no longer remain silent. The next morning, Toan returned from his business trip. The moment he stepped into the farmhouse, he noticed something was wrong. Tu Diem greeted him with a faint smile, but her eyes betrayed the weight she carried. He touched her hand gently. Diem, what happened while I was away? She hesitated, her lips trembling with words she could not speak. Her heart feared the truths that telling him would only create conflict between mother and son. But Tu, who had stayed the night, broke the silence. Toan, she said softly, mother came yesterday. She told Diem to leave you. She said she was not worthy of your life. For a moment, Toan froze. Then his fists clenched, his jaw tightening as anger and pain surged inside him. He looked at Diem, who lowered her gaze, ashamed of something that was never her fault. Why didn't you tell me? He whispered. Because, her voice cracked, I didn't want to be the reason you fight with your mother. She believes she is protecting you. Maybe she is right. Maybe I truly don't belong in your world. Toan's heart broke at her words. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. No, Diem, don't ever say that. You belong with me because I choose you. Because I need you. No one, not even my mother, can take that away. That evening, Toan drove to his mother's house. The confrontation was inevitable. Lan was waiting, calm and composed, as if expecting him. "Toan," she began, "you are angry. I can see it. But one day, you will thank me for saving you from a mistake." "No, mother," Toan replied, his voice steady, though his eyes burned with conviction. "The only mistake would be letting go of the woman who saved me, who stood by me when I was at my weakest. You think you are protecting me, but all you are doing is hurting the person I love most. How can that be right?" Lan's pride faltered for the briefest moment, but she quickly masked it with silence. Toan's words lingered in the air like a challenge she could not answer. When he returned to the farmhouse that night, Tu Diem was waiting by the window. He took her hands once more and whispered, "I will stand between you and every storm. You don't have to be afraid anymore." For the first time in days, she allowed herself to breathe freely. She knew the battle was far from over, but something had changed. Toan had chosen his side, and in that choice, she found the strength to keep fighting. Days passed, but the silence between Madame Lan and Tu Diem grew heavier, like a storm cloud waiting to break. Toan stood firm by Diem's side, yet he knew his mother's heart had not softened. He could protect Diem with his words, but deep inside, he wished she could stand tall for herself. One afternoon, fate arranged what Diem had long dreaded. Madame Lan arrived at the farmhouse unannounced. Toan was away at the company, leaving Diem alone. The sight of Lan stepping through the doorway made Diem's chest tighten, but this time, she did not retreat. Lan's eyes were sharp. "You are still here," she said coldly. "Even after I warned you. Do you not understand? A girl like you will only destroy my son's future." Tu Diem's heart pounded, but she took a deep breath. Her voice trembled at first, then steadied. "Madam, I know you love Toan, and I respect you for that, but love is not measured by wealth or family name. I may have nothing in this world, but my love for him is real. I was there when he was lost, when he had no strength. I cared for him not because he is rich, but because he is human, someone I wanted to protect." Lan frowned, her pride resisting every word. "Do you think love alone will feed him, protect him, give him the future he deserves?" Diem's eyes glistened with tears, but she did not break. "Perhaps not. But money cannot heal loneliness. Status cannot warm a heart at night. I may not have riches, but I have loyalty, sincerity, and a heart that will never betray him. Is that truly worth nothing in your eyes?" For the first time, Lan was silent. She stared at the young woman before her, fragile in appearance, yet carrying a strength that could not be ignored. Something in Diem's voice, in the unshaken honesty of her words, pierced through her armor of pride. Still, Lan turned away, unwilling to admit defeat. "We will see how long such words last," she said coldly, before leaving. As the car drove away, Tu Diem collapsed into a chair, her whole body shaking. But this time, her tears were not only of sorrow, they carried a spark of triumph. She had not remained silent. She had found her voice. When Toan returned and heard what had happened, he held her close, pride shining in his eyes. "That is the woman I love," he whispered. "Strong, brave, and true." The tension in the family did not fade. Though Madame Lan never spoke openly of her doubts again, she carried them like hidden weapons, waiting for the right moment to strike. She believed Tu Diem's words were filled with sincerity, but sincerity, in her eyes, was fragile. She needed proof. One morning, Lan devised a plan. She asked an old friend, a wealthy woman from her social circle, to visit the farmhouse unannounced. The woman came dressed in elegance, her eyes sharp with curiosity. Over tea, she began speaking to Tu Diem with subtle cruelty. "Life here looks simple," the woman said, her lips curving into a faint smile. "But tell me, dear, do you ever imagine what it would be like to live as the wife of a CEO? To wear jewels, to walk into rooms where everyone knows your name. Surely you must dream of more than this." Tu Diem listened quietly, her fingers curled around her cup. She could feel the trap hidden in those words, but she would not fall. "Madam," she answered gently, "I don't dream of jewels or fame. I dream of peace. I dream of standing beside Toan through every storm, whether in a farmhouse or a mansion. What matters to me is not the size of the house, but the warmth of the heart inside it." The woman arched a brow, clearly taken aback. "You speak beautifully, but words are easy. What if his wealth disappeared tomorrow?" Tu Diem's eyes did not waver. "Then I would still be here, because my love is not for what he owns, it is for who he is. When I met Toan, he was weak, lost, and broken. I cared for him then, with nothing in return. That is who I am." From outside the doorway, Madame Lan had been listening. She had not expected Diem to speak with such calm conviction. For a moment, her heart softened, but pride quickly rose again. She turned away before either of them saw her. Later that evening, Toan returned home and noticed Diem's quiet expression. She told him everything. His eyes filled with both anger and admiration. "They can test you, Diem. They can doubt you, but they will never break you. And I swear, as long as I breathe, I will never let them." That night, as the wind rustled through the fields, Tu Diem stood at the window, her heart both weary and strong. She realized that love was no longer just about tenderness. It was a battle, one she had never chosen but one she would fight. Not to prove herself to the world, but to protect the truth of her heart. And though Madame Lan believed she was right, Tu Diem could not help but wonder, how right can love be if it is built on hurting another soul? Life often tests us with conflicts between love, pride, and the desire to protect. The story of Toan, Tu Diem, and Toan's mother teaches us that even with the best intentions, actions guided by fear and prejudice can cause deep wounds. Toan's mother believed she was safeguarding her son's future, but in doing so, she overlooked the dignity and pain of Tu Diem. What she failed to see was that love is not measured by wealth, status, or reputation. It is measured by kindness, sacrifice, and trust. Tu Diem's silent endurance reflected the strength of someone who has suffered yet chosen not to retaliate with hatred. Her pain became her turning point, forcing her to either break or rise stronger. Toan's love, in contrast, showed the power of empathy and loyalty. He understood that protecting someone's heart is worth more than protecting appearances. The lesson here is simple yet profound. True care is not about control, but about respect. When we impose our will upon others, even under the guise of protection, we risk losing the very people we wish to hold close. To love someone means to see their worth beyond social judgment, and to stand by them even when the world disapproves. In the end, the story reminds us that pride can blind us, but compassion can heal us. The choice between hurting or protecting, rejecting or embracing, lies in the heart, and only those who choose love truly win.